Again. Both left leg, left thigh. Yeah.
My name's Zoë Vorenas. I'm a para-equestrian from Coldstream in Victoria. My story, well, 2 years ago I became really unwell one weekend, and after a few trips into hospital during the week I had an MRI, and the MRI showed that I had 26 lesions on my brain, and I was diagnosed with a disease called ADEM. ADEM is acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. I lost a lot of my vision, my speech. I had total right-sided numbness. Yeah, it was endless. Things just kept happening, and setback after setback. I had a week's worth of methylpred, which is a steroid treatment to help reduce the swelling on my brain. And finally I was moved to rehab, and I did a whole week of rehab, and we tried to get my right side working a little more. But of course, once the damage is done, it's hard to get it back that quickly. I thought that was the end of it. My doctors thought maybe it's moved into something else. So I had a lumbar puncture, and a lumbar puncture showed that I had antibodies in my spinal fluid, which means that I had MS. Yeah, I can't really explain the feeling of being told that. You know, I didn't know much about it. Like, everyone's heard of MS Australia and, you know, fundraising and stuff like that, but you never really know exactly what it is, and I was clueless, really. The physical impairment was nothing compared to the mental impairment it left. I have difficulty with my focus, my learning, everything. It was a big shock for everyone. My doctors were nervous about what was going to happen. They ultimately told me some days, you know, you can go to sleep one night and wake up and you might not be able to see in the morning. So that not only took a toll on me, but it took a toll on everyone around me, I guess. They've been amazing. Like, I can't even imagine how hard it's been for them, and they still, without fail, have been there. Even though I wanted to get on the horse way too early after being discharged, you know, they helped me with that, and my family and my friends have been there every step of the way with it. MS stands for multiple sclerosis. It's an autoimmune disease which affects the myelin sheath, which surrounds the nerves. But it's such a broad disease that it affects everyone differently. Luckily, I was young enough to bounce back a lot from the lesions I had, and I regained that walking. But some people have very minimal, obvious impairments, and some people don't know they have MS for years until, you know, their limp gets a bit more obvious when they walk, or they start to notice that a patch of skin is numb or something like that. Para-Dressage allows us, you know, people that aren't able-bodied, to compete in a fair playing field. We're able to work with different types of equipment to allow us to ride. We're allowed to carry 2 whips if our legs are not working. It just evens up the playing field. There's no fairness in someone who can't walk competing against people that have full use of their body. So it allows these people who have been affected to keep doing what they love.
Dressage is like a ballet dancer, but you're doing it with a horse. So you're training the horse, you're teaching dance movements to the horse, you're training that horse to do your dressage, your dance movements, whilst you're doing them yourself, and you're trying to make you and the horse as one, a team.
I never really did dressage until I moved here. I had my first lesson with Glenda maybe when I was 10 or 11, and I remember doing my first ever flying change, like that I actually set up and asked for, and ever since then I have been hooked because there is some sort of feeling you get from the precision and the technicality of dressage that I can't even explain it. It can't be replicated.
Zoe has a lot of determination and motivation. I remember after she was sick, she fell apart a little. We had to help her and say, come on, these horses are waiting for you, no excuses. You know, up here, come on, up and at 'em. And when we got her up here, from there she never looked back. She has put in so much work and effort into this. She deserves everything she gets out of it.
You know, they keep you motivated, they keep you wanting to keep going, even when it's absolutely awful. The first day I got day leave from the hospital, I came up here and was sick as a dog, but I didn't care. They just keep you going.
I remember her saying one day, I can't sit around and mope and feel sorry for myself. I have horses to feed and ride, and she never wavered from that.
You know, it's like really given her something to focus on, even when like everything else around her was kind of like crashing down.
My sponsors are Warringah Park, Horseland Ringwood, the Equine Practice, Pride's Easy Feeds, and High Plains Rugs. That whole team has been there from the start. Everyone has played a part in getting me to this point. You know, my coaches here at Warringah Park were the first ones to even suggest the para-equestrian and say to me, look, we know everything's dragging you down right now, but here's something to work towards. Here's a goal. Let's aim for Rio. I'm making a bid for Canada in 2018 for the World Equestrian Games, and then Tokyo in 2020. Whether I take Minty or perhaps the young one, I will need support, both from my friends and my family and everyone who's ever offered words of support and kindness, but also financially to get to that point. Horses are an expensive business, and flying them over to another country is, it's a huge expense on the riders, and everyone has been fundraising as much as they can to get to Rio, and it'll be the same for Canada and the same for Tokyo. Well, no matter what, and no matter the setbacks, and no matter how many times you get knocked down or you get let down or whatever happens, just you have to pick yourself up and you have to dust yourself off and you have to keep going, because in the end you want to get where you want to get, and you're going to be disappointed if you don't at least try your best. And of course, you know, in this business of horses, there's always going to be setbacks and disappointments, but there's no point stopping because of that. You just have to reassess your goals and keep going.